Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Zach Rohde, and I am here with a special guest today. This is Anne from our Academy program, who has been with us for quite some time. She actually did a call with me before, I think. Anne, tell me how long ago that was. I think a year?
Yeah, a good year ago.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even a bit more than a year. And it's so good to have you back.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna wait a moment before we really dive in here. I want to get a few more viewers on. But before we really dive in, tell me how you're feeling, Anne. Any feelings coming up being on this call with me, or just in general? What are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot of joy speaking with you again. There's so many changes that happened in my life from the last time I've spoken to you. So I'm feeling excitement and joy and happy.
Excellent. Yes. So we are definitely going to be going into that for those of you who are listening. Anne found I should phrase it differently. An amazing man, very amazing man, found Anne because of her radiance and the way that she has put herself out there and the way that she has shifted her self-worth. And so we're going to really dive into that. So to begin, Anne, tell me, we're going to go way back. Let's rewind a few years here because we've known each other for quite some time now. When you first started working with us, when you joined our Academy program, tell me where you were at as far as like, what were you suffering with? Like biggest problems that you're dealing with in your love life, and also just like as a person, as a woman.
Okay. Yeah, that was 3.5 years ago I started the Academy. In November that year, it was 2020, I think. I was just in my not wedding, marriage. I was feeling loneliness. I was completely feeling exhaustion. I'm a mom. My son was 4 years old at the time. And I just couldn't continue like this, like something needed to change. And I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to express my needs, my desires, my problems in a vulnerable way. And I think that's my part. And I also see that it was not just me. But at the time, I couldn't see any of that. And I just decided to leave the marriage. For me, the only solution and option I could see was that. So then in January, I started the Academy.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So then you started the Academy. Tell me about how you were communicating. So you're saying like had difficulty communicating needs, problems, all of that. What did your communication look like?
I was going from controlling and blaming and all the all that blaming, judging, controlling, all that. And then I would go also the opposite in damsel in distress, victimhood, shutting down, not saying anything until I exploded. I was just going from one side to the other side. It was just chaos.
Blame and victimhood. What a fantastic mix that is. Okay. And then so you're dealing with lots of that, obviously not getting your needs met. What was there anything specific, anything that really pulled on your heart as far as what you were really needing and not getting at that time?
Yes, I needed direction, and I just needed help in general. I didn't know. I just was running on fumes. I was a zombie. I needed everything pretty much, and I didn't know how to get any. Like I was just so controlling and so. I can do it all. I'm responsible for everything. no one should be having to help me. Like the super mom, super wife bullshit that I sorry for my
It's okay. We're not getting banned off Facebook here. It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't. I just couldn't ask for help. I didn't know how to receive help because I bought into the stories that I should be able to do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that fun indoctrination. I don't think you weren't coming from a feminist perspective, were you?
No.
Back then? It was something different. Yeah. So it was just like purely a self-worth thing where you felt you needed to do everything. Why? Because that's what made you worthy, good enough? What was that about?
Yeah, I think that's it. Like I never asked myself this question. Yeah, I got my worth from doing work, like status and power, and yeah that's where I was getting my validation.
So absolutely. So I'll pause here for a moment and say for the ladies listening or listening in the future, this is such and really reflect in yourself as well if this is a problem for you, because it's very common for women, and there's a few ways that it can manifest, but basically it's like you are not fully in your self-worth as a woman. You don't realize that you are intrinsically worthy just as you are, just by being intrinsically worthy to be taken care of, to fully receive a man's provision and love and leadership. And you have to be doing something basically to be worthy enough, whether that is, being a boss babe and having your life all sorted that way, whether it is being fully in control, whether it's being the helper and being the therapist, being the helping, supporting the man, all of that kind of stuff, which is basically going to keep you locked in this masculine energy that's going to repel devotion. It's going to repel care from a man. And I can say that, it might sound like, yeah, that makes sense. But then actually letting go of all of that is really difficult, because what you're actually doing is you're stepping fully into the unknown, where you're like the only thing that you really are holding on to that makes you feel worthy in some kind of way, you're letting it go. And then what? Like, who are you, and why would a man want you, right? That's kind of the belief that you're stepping into, which is really, really scary. Okay, so with that out of the way, so this was kind of what was going on for you. And then you came into the academy. Let's talk a little bit about what that process was like for you. So you've had to shift a lot. Like, you're coming from a very you're coming from a very long way here, and your shifts have been huge. Tell me about like, we'll start this way. Tell me like the number one thing that you shifted. The most important thing, the biggest thing, the hardest thing.
Victimhood.
Victimhood.
Martyr. I don't know how to pronounce it. Martyrdom.
Yes.
That's
okay.
Sacrificing, all those beautiful things.
Yeah. Tell me how you did that. How did that shift? Actually, before you even go into that, let's get a little more defined here. So victimhood, you're doing all this blaming, you're doing all this self-depreciating, judging yourself, self-pity, externalizing that, talking about it out loud. And you shifted to what? Like, the opposite of that is responsibility, as I call it. So what does that look like? And then we'll talk about how you got there.
Okay, that was to look at myself, like, and be really honest and take responsibility for how I was showing up and what was showing up in my life as a consequence of how I was showing up. And to have to listen to people, men, you, coaches, because I see it now showing up still with the
Yes.
but I'm trying to validate my experience, and I have my running story is that I'm unimportant. That's been my big story. And so I, defending myself because I'm in this pattern of being a victim. So, I'm in that I've gone a long way from when I started, and I would do feelings expeditions, and it was blame my ex-husband, blame everyone and then blaming myself, and then judging, and I had to really look at myself and stop talking to myself first like this. So then I had to change my whole dialogue, my whole inside dialogue. I needed to change. Instead of looking out, I needed to just look inside and stay on my side, and where is it coming from? If I'm doing this and I'm receiving that, what did I do, to receive that?
Right.
And how can I
to do it objectively, rather than just blaming yourself, I'm bad and I did this wrong, and hurting yourself in that way, because this is what really can confuse a lot of women, because there's so many women who do go into those self-blame patterns, who beat themselves up, who see themselves as not good enough, who are perfectionists. And of course, we talk a lot about the externalizing blame, where you're blaming somebody else, you're blaming your partner, you're blaming whoever. But many women will confuse being responsible as basically beating yourself up, which is just as irresponsible, right? Whenever you're putting blame onto someone else, whether it's yourself or whether it's your partner, whoever, that's not actually responsible. Responsibility is being able to objectively see. It's oh, here's how I'm showing up and can be co-creating this, but you're not personalizing it. You're not attacking yourself. You're not making yourself bad because of it. You're just able to see it and just fully own it. That's a completely different energy, and that's part of one of the ways that you start healing. Now, you mentioned something you went into a topic that can be potentially interesting, so we'll talk about it. So, coming into the academy, you're being coached by men. You're being coached by masculine men who are doing things that are very different and leading you in a way that's very different, typically, than the way that women are going to be treated most of the time out in the world. Tell me what, and in the coaching realm as well, right? It's often women are looking for a woman coach to teach them femininity. And it's what the hell do men, what business do men have teaching women about femininity? How does that make any sense? That's ridiculous. These men got to get out of here and go work with men. They shouldn't be working with women. So coming into the academy and being led by men, tell me about that experience. What was, start with the triggers. We'll start with the triggers. We'll start with the really fun stuff, and then we'll go from there.
What I've observed of myself is that I'm not the fighting type. I'm more of the hiding type. So for me, when I was getting coached by you and others, and I would not like something or something would trigger me, I would tend to shut down and not say anything, because that's my pattern, and then just go on my own and try to deal with all this on my own. That's my pattern. So that was a trigger in some way to have to open up and actually vulnerably share that, I have something and I'm a people pleaser also. I was a people pleaser. So I was afraid that if I would say anything, that I wouldn't be loved and receive help and attention from you guys. So I prefer to say nothing.
Yeah. Which is a common thing, you know, and it's interesting, right? Because often the advice, like so much of the advice out there from, you know, men, we'll say, red pill, whatever, it's so much focused on women who are like, yes, you are controlling, were controlling, mostly past tense, but it's this advice about for women who are just like loudmouths, we'll call it. And the biggest issue that I've certainly experienced as a coach with women, like if there's any pattern, one specific pattern that is common for almost every woman, it's about hiding her heart. It's about hiding her vulnerability, hiding her feelings. Now, that might be hidden behind silence, or it might be hidden behind judgments, or it might be hidden behind accusations, or it might be hidden behind like leading and doing and helping and all of this, right? But it's ultimately the same pattern, which is stemming from the same pattern, which is hiding your heart, because it's terrifying to hide your heart because of exactly what you said. Because what if you share and the man or men, in this case, the academy, that you care about and you want their approval and you want their leadership and provision and all of this stuff, what if they don't care? What if they get angry at you? What if they reject you? What if they abandon you? That's a really, really deep childhood pattern.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got over it. What was the process for you? So anyone listening, we're going to cover a couple more things, and then we're going to get into what's going on for you now and how things are so good for you. So hold on. Go ahead, Anne.
So how I did it was by well, some things have happened in the container that was involving me and other students and you, and I had to actually do a feelings expedition live in front of everyone, sharing how I felt about what had happened. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to talk about you, you know, and your mistake, so to speak, you know. And I was like, But another coach told me, you have to do this. And I did. And the response I got back from doing this feelings expedition was that I really received so much help and so much provision from all the men that were involved in this situation. And I didn't have any expectations of what would come or not come. I just did what I was asked to do. And then, yes, I was able to. And then I was just like, oh, wow, it didn't matter. It didn't matter whatever I would receive or not receive, because I had shared myself and I felt relief. And I did it for me. And that was a turning point for me in the academy. And then we also say how we show up in the academy, that's how we show up in life. So then I started really like, okay, you know, I just need to do it for myself. And I started doing inhibition stuff, like to get to be able to be vulnerable in any situation, anyone watching, not watching. I just was doing it for me, and to gain like so much like confidence in like that vulnerability is actually what I need to do and to be in this world. Because and I was so surprised by what I would receive in return, and that was so like life-changing for me. So it was just doing whatever I was asked to do, over and over and over again in the academy, outside the academy. I got my ass kicked a few times, many times, because I'm someone who was doing everything that you guys were saying, because I felt that I had trust. I'm like, my life is not going well, so I need to do something different. So here I am, like, just, okay, someone telling me what to do. Thank you. I will do it. I will do it all.
Pause for a second, Anne. Tell me what you're feeling right now as you're talking about that.
I'm feeling playfulness.
So was that gleefulness or playfulness? I missed that.
Playfulness, because like reminiscing about my experiment and getting like good results, bad results, and it makes me laugh.
Was there no sadness? I swear I felt some sadness from you while you were sharing that.
The sadness comes from, I know what it comes from. It's from the
Yeah, there it is.
It's the lack of leadership and the lack of trust in men and in myself.
Yeah, take a moment and sit with that.
That I was experiencing. And to have men.
Wait, one moment. Just feel that for a moment, and we'll talk all about it. Tell me about that pain.
It's the abandonment.
Huh?
The abandonment wound, and the stories that I was running, that no one had my back, and that men would take advantage of me, and to have now men that actually had my back and were not taking advantage of me and wanted, they had my best interest at heart, and to actually really feel it. It's just, I feel so much gratitude. And yeah, it's that sadness that for so long I didn't receive those things, and it's because I didn't know how to receive.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's painful. Right? It's a painful experience for a woman to not have that basically your entire life, because it's something that you do need to be taken care of in so many ways by a man or by men who are, protecting you and leading you, correcting you. Like, let's talk about correction for a moment, because so many women have this negative connotation around correction, because when they were corrected by their father or by their boyfriends or husband or whatever, it's coming from a very judgmental, critical energy, when really correction is fundamentally important for a woman to receive when it's done with love and care, right? When a woman can feel that the man's doing it as a gift because she matters to him. And ultimately what we're doing in the academy, it's like, yeah, we're giving you all the communication stuff. We're giving you, like, showing you how to use feminine communication, how to let go of control and all of that stuff. One of the biggest things that women are needing to heal all of these woundings are to just be in a relationship. I don't necessarily mean romantic. It can be a father, it can be a boyfriend, it can be a coach, it can be a friend who's two things. One, giving her care, giving her love, but also giving that love and care through leadership, which also involves correction and boundaries, not letting her get away with those unhealthy patterns. That's one of the biggest things. You come in our container, you're not getting away with those patterns anymore. Those patterns are over now. and we're going to help you shift them. Because you try that with us, it's like, no, no, no. Here's what you're doing, and here's how we're going to help you shift this. And it's, it's coming from fear or, some kind of wound. We're loving about it, but it's that most men are too, especially most men that women where you started are attracting, right, on that frequency, they're too weak to be able to give you what you need, which is both that strength and that love at the same time, and the direction and guidance to actually shift it. Speaking of, let's segue into where things are for you now, Anne. So this is, it's great because one of the most wonderful things for me as a coach with my literally hundreds of clients in my academy program now, because once you're in my program, you get to stay in my program, is people like women are just always making these win posts. Like, and I just hear things randomly, like all of a sudden there's women who come out of nowhere I haven't heard from for 6 months who are like, oh, I'm getting married. I found my dream man. It's like, what? You didn't tell me any of this? The first I heard about it. But anyway, I hadn't heard much from you in a while. And then all of a sudden, there's this man who had come into your life that seemed like, by my standard as well, like not just your standard, my standards, like, wow, this is the kind of man that Anne needs and deserves after all of this. So tell me, let's start with how you found a man. Tell me where this man came from. How did it come about? Because I don't even know the story yet.
Okay.
I know things that have happened, but I don't know this part.
So I am someone who had pride in, that I can meet people organically. I can meet a man, and so I've always been judging people that go on dating apps. So Zach, you had started to do like a course on showing women how to do dating profiles and what to look for and stuff like that, and just focus on you. So I'm like, all right, I'll do an experiment because that's what I do. So I created a profile on Bumble to see what would show up and how much what I was attracting would be different or not. I was really like excited about that. I felt a lot of excitement to see like, ooh, what will show up now. So I did a profile. I go on Bumble, and the first day I think I had like 500 plus like, and I was like, whoa, that's so overwhelming. And I felt overwhelmed. And anyways, I went on about 3 dates, and I have to say that like all the men that were talking with me I felt a lot of gratitude. They were gentlemen, not leading with sex or nothing like that, and just really fast, like I want to go on a date, like no endless texting, no stuff like that. So I went on 3 dates, and I had a really good time. They were really, I felt a lot of ease with them. But there was something like I was just not interested. And then there was always this man that it was like, but we were not really talking. And then we ended up talking that he actually knew where I lived. And that's how we started talking about. And I would just kind of always go back to this man, and all of a sudden we start talking quickly. He's like, he called me, not even like asked me, can I call you? Or, didn't ask permission. He actually called me. And I was like, wow, that kind of, and then he organized to come here and to see me. And it was so that's how it all started.
Yeah, there is a lot of women that still like the judgments around online dating or the resistance to online dating, and I get a lot of it. I met my wife with online dating after a week of being on there. I think it was actually a couple days, but I think it was maybe a week before I actually met with her. And I had, here's one of the funny things that I hear from a lot of women and maybe men as well. It's like there's no masculine men with like that go online to do online dating, because why would they do that? They would just meet women out in the world. That is BS. I have literally gone up to tens of thousands of women. I have gotten thousands and thousands of numbers from women. I don't many hundreds or thousands of dates. I don't know. I don't keep track, but a lot. And I didn't meet my wife that way. I met my wife in a week from online dating. Online dating is magical when you know how to do it properly. It's a skill set just like anything else. If you don't know how to take the right pictures, which by the way, basically no woman does, like almost none, like we're talking less than 1%. Men, it's abysmal as well. If you don't know how to write a profile that really speaks to a masculine man, not emasculated man, it's really easy to speak to an emasculated man. You can say pretty much anything, but a masculine man, then you're going to be frustrated and think that there's only emasculated men that do online dating. It's not true. Everybody does online dating, just like everybody is out in the world. You just need to know how to speak to them in a way that calls them in so your time doesn't get wasted and you don't get burnt out. So you met this great guy and he eventually comes to see you. And tell me how he was different. Like how was he showing up in a way that was amazing for you?
Right away, may I back up a little bit about the dating app thing? That's
sure. Yeah. If there's something else you want to add, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Like he had been on the dating app for 3 years and I had just been there for 2 days or something like that. And he was saying that he doesn't talk, he never went on a date with any women from Bumble because he could tell after few lines that he didn't want to meet them. And then with me, he was just like, you're a unicorn. And so like right away, one of the things that a few men were saying on dating apps was like, oh, the distance. And I live in the woods, but people from Vancouver, which is 40 minutes away from here, were telling me it's too far. And then him lives like on the island, it's like, it's a mission to come here. And he's like, I'm on my way. That I was like, okay, thank you. I felt excitement about that. And then he just came in and started like, oh yeah, when we met, it was just like we've known each other forever. It's not, for the first time, I don't feel it's trauma bonding at all. We are both very in our own lane, so to speak. And I'm not trying to control him. There is no, I don't even have any urge or to like control him, to mother him, to tell him what to do. And from the get-go, I was able to, I just am vulnerable with him. It's natural. I don't know how to explain it, Zach. It's just natural. And I feel so much ease and he feels ease too. We're just, like I said, so he's been leading, he's been providing. One thing that really, the first it was at night, the first night, he was I have a tendency to like look away when I feel like shame and stuff like that, or close my eyes. And then he was telling me, look in my eyes, stay with me. So I was talking about my abandonment issue, and from the get-go, like the mess, and but in a responsible way. I was not blaming my whole, like, I was owning it, that I have this, and he went through all this with me, like, look in my eyes, stay with me, don't close your eyes, look at me, for 3 hours. He never broke eye contact with me. And I gained so much trust in this man for not like for staying. I had this huge abandonment issue, and this man is staying eye contact, and so that was a huge thing. And then after that, he left, and 2 days or whatever, he left, and I had like some physical stuff, like a pain, and then I was afraid that my son was coming back, and then I was afraid that I would have fever or an infection, and then I couldn't take care of myself and my son. So I just asked him, like, I didn't know where he was, like I didn't know if he went back to the island or not, and then he was close by. So he said, what do you need? Like, let's take care of yourself. And then I'm like, yeah, my son's coming. So he started telling me, like, I spoke to my son and I said to him, like, there's someone who can help me, and you, if something happens to me, are you okay with that? He's like, yes. So he came back to he's like, my priority is for you to take care of you. So what do you need? We can figure out your son, like meeting your son after. So he came back, and I felt so much like relief. And for once, I didn't hide that I needed help. And he came back. And then my son was disrespectful to me.
I'm gonna pause you for a moment here, and I'm gonna let you tell this story because it's important. I did read it. I think it was this morning or something that you posted it recently. So one of the things that you're touching upon, Anne, is really important, which is you basically, and you're going to touch on it more when you tell this next story too. But so many women, so I call men who are really like masculine and know how to lead, like use masculine communication the way that we teach, and are able to set boundaries and correct a woman and teach her feminine communication, all this stuff, and love her. I love her. They're an academy man, okay? And women who are not in the academy, and also often women who first join the academy, they have this belief, it's like, these men are not out here. Like, if I don't somehow meet a man who's been trained in the academy, then I'm like, how could I possibly find that man? Like, they of course need to have been coached by Zach and Mark for them to be able to lead me. Otherwise, how can this possibly work? And so there's a little bit of hopelessness mixed in with kind of faith of just like, trust Zach, he knows what he's talking about. And what happens though, and this situation with you, is illustrating it perfectly, is those academy men are out there. I definitely didn't ever coach your man. And yet, and he probably hasn't, I mean, maybe he's done some kind of masculinity work, I don't know, but certainly not working with us, not learning the masculine communication the way that we teach. And yet his instinct is very much online, his masculine instinct, and it's being activated even further by your feminine vulnerability and your respect. And he is able to set loving boundaries with you and give you correction and hold you energetically and allow you to just fully open up and feel and give you direction to do that. How's that possible? It's because he has a masculine instinct and it's online. Okay. And as long as a woman is operating on that level, that kind of frequency, she's going to be able to call in those kind of men sooner or later. If she's not operating on that frequency, those men, she's going to be invisible to those kind of men. They're just not going to exist. Or the times that she does attract them, she might not even know it because she's not able to show up the way that he needs, and he'll just disappear. So what you found is like this is magic. What's happening? So tell me. So to further illustrate this point, tell me about this situation with your son, because I thought that was really great when I read that.
Yes. So from this morning, because I talked twice, I think.
I think, assuming that was what you were going to share about. If it was something else, then share that.
Okay. No, it was that.
Okay.
So in a matter of days, 2 days, the relationship with my son and I did a 180. It was magic, like so much peace. Like me and my son were oftentimes stuck in a pattern, and we're both dysregulated, and there's no communication happening, and there's a lot of this, but nothing changes. So he comes in and he's like seeing what's happening, and he doesn't call, he uses a word that is not correction or calling me out or him out. It's more, he brings an awareness. So he brought awareness to my son in his disrespect, and then in me, how I actually enable this by tolerating it and his behavior. And then I become, and then like it's, the stories I run or the judgments I have were that I'm a slave to him, and he just doesn't stop, and he's pushing for hours and hours until I say yes, for example. That's the big problem. And he comes in, and then he's like, this, bam, it's done. And it's peace. It brought so much peace. And he sees what my needs are. He sees what my son's needs are. And he's just there, calm, centered. Like, I feel awe. I'm blown away. So today, so what happened is that my son, he showed me how to stop my son's behavior, and showing me also telling me how I was enabling. And there was a millisecond of like, of wanting to defend myself. And he said like, no. And then after that, I felt like relief, and I felt so much peace, because I knew that it would stop. Like if I stop this behavior, then I will feel peace again, the same way I felt peace when he does it. So my son was crying. I was in the other room. He went upstairs, took care of me, took care of my son. And then me and my son got together, went back, like he told him exactly what to do. He told me what to do, went back in our bedroom, slept. The next morning, my son got up, took care of himself, didn't say anything to me, didn't demand anything from me. He even brought me my water that I drink every morning. He brought that to me. And he came and hang out when he was allowed to, not taking over, not demanding. And it was, the whole day was peaceful. And then this man left. And during the whole day, even after he left, it was peaceful. It was bliss. And he actually set us up so that even if he is not here, me and my son will be okay and will be peaceful. And I'm just blown away.
Amazing. Now, one of the things you said there, he told me what to do. After that, I just felt so much rage at that level of misogyny. A man told a woman what to do. That shouldn't be happening. That is just so sexist. Yeah. It's so interesting, right? Because again, this comes to it's all about the negative connotations that women hold to certain words or phrases or ideas. Of course, if you've been told what to do by a man, like say a father, for example, who's controlling in a negative sense, who's subjugating you and his wife and all of that stuff, then you're going to have a lot of negative ideas about such a concept. But when you're being, and even a woman who's stuck in that and being told what to do in a loving way, a woman can be hugely triggered by that as well, as I'm sure you have been in our academy program, right? But of course, what he's actually doing is exactly what I tell women is possible and will eventually happen to them if they actually go through this process, which is, you start by being coached by me and by my team of men. And we're teaching you feminine communication. We're teaching you how to shift into your self-worth. We're teaching you how to be vulnerable. We're teaching you how to shift out of your control patterns. And when you get to a certain point in being able to do that to a certain level sufficiently, you attract a man and inspire a man to be able to be your coach, to be able to be your femininity coach, your healing coach, your self-worth coach, your parenting coach. There's another one I hadn't even really thought about, but absolutely. And this just happens naturally. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's not about you being less than in any way, that you're more in that student role. It's like you're so worthy of that level of care. And it also doesn't mean that you don't have lots of really important opinions and ideas and all of that stuff. Of course you do. But just like you did in the academy, right? And just like I learned a lot from you without you having to teach me anything, just by you using feminine communication so I can understand you better. It's just about the role. And when you learn how to be in that role properly, you inspire a man who is in that role and basically takes over my job. I don't have to do anything anymore. And then he coaches you, and you learn how to do that wherever you go. You just learn how to inspire men to take care of you. And most importantly, a man in a romantic dynamic where he's meeting all of your needs. So that is absolutely fantastic, and so amazing to hear. Before we wrap up, tell me, is there anything else that I haven't asked you about that you think you'd really love to share? Anything that's near and dear to your heart around all of this?
Well, of course, I would love to share my gratitude to you. I didn't know it was possible for me. Outside of the academy, I didn't think I would find someone like this outside the academy. Especially because I had judgments, or stories that I'm a single mom, who will want a single mom, and all kinds of stories, and that I don't have all my stuff together, and you kept always believing in me. And I'm beyond grateful to you and Mark and other coaches, and the whole community for me has been, they're all part of it. And I have such a desire, and have also now have the belief that it's available to everyone. And to just actually be coachable and open up and actually listen to men, and and other women, you know, with their inspirational stories, and that, yeah, it's possible. I'm not special, you know, I'm not different, and I'm still learning, you know. I still need someone to tell me what to do with my son, you know. And I feel like green, you know. I'm like, wow, my son is 8 and I still don't know how to be a mom. And and it's I'm just, yeah, to be open to all the possibilities. And one thing that I'd like to add to end is that I thought I needed to control how I would be loved and receive what I would receive. And by not having outcomes, or, you know, controlling what comes, so many, like, there's all the possibilities when I don't have a specific thing that I'm, you know, oh, I need to be loved like this, or this is my love language, or this or that, you know. It's like, no, it's like, wow, I'm receiving so much and I'm taking it all in. And I feel, for the first time in my life, Zach, I feel like my cup is actually full and I can now take care of others.
That's beautiful. I am touched, Dan, hearing that, when you're sharing about the gratitude and everything. It's very beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And then the other really important thing you shared, for this will be relevant to many of the women watching, is yes, this is possible if you're a single mother, right? You get beaten down with like so much negative programming from men, from women, from especially men, though. I think it's more men, that, you know, you're a single mother, your life is screwed forever. You're never going to be able to like no quality man who knows how to lead and you know, has his life together is going to ever want you. That's not true. Because it's like there's no there's no competition. You got to understand this, ladies. There's no competition that you have when you learn how to make these shifts. And use the word that she you said that you became a unicorn online, and that's 100%. Or sorry, that your man said that you were a unicorn, right? That he'd been on online dating for years and never even had a date because like the women that he was finding were just not, you could just tell were not what he wanted. And then you were the unicorn. It's like when you learn how to be the unicorn, it nothing else is really going to matter that much. Okay. Half of our academy, or at least half the single women in our academy, like we're talking 100, 150 more women are single mothers. And the number of those women who have been able to find an amazing man continues to grow by the day, by the week, by the month. All right. We're proving what a BS false programming that whole narrative is. It's just, you just have to do the work, ladies. Okay. There's nothing stopping you except for you, except your limiting beliefs around this, about your resistance to learn this stuff, and ideally to get support on this so you can make it happen way, way faster. And you know, you got enough to do as far as making these shifts without support. It's like, you can do this. Everybody can do this. Every woman can do this. Every woman can have their dream relationship. You just have to choose the yes, you can have it, and do something about it. Make it happen for yourself. Do this work. And for those of you that are listening who are like, yeah, like, man, I want my dream relation. I want my dream relationship. I want a man who's wants to coach me and care for me and cherish me and choose to be fully committed to me. And great. Let's do something about it. We've got, I'm going to say two things. So first of all, we got an ongoing, master classes that change all the time. Right now, we got one on learning how to heal your heart using polarity. You can sign up for that on any of my posts, but specifically for the ladies that are watching this video, if this is really speaking to you and you're like, man, I really want this. And you're feeling that resonance and belief that, wow, maybe I could have it, that this is possible. And you just need to get the support to do it, get the coaching to do it, get the leadership by men to do it, then what I'm going to invite you to do, what I'm going to direct you to do, I'm going to tell you what to do. Okay, you ready for this? Ready for this directive? You go to, there's two things you can do, but we'll do one or the other. You go to thedreamrelationship.com and there is a link to book a call with me. There's also a video there to learn more about our process and how we help ladies like Anne make these shifts. So that's right below my face, thedreamrelationship.com. Just type that into your search bar, put that in, watch the video if you want, book the call, and we'll talk. We'll talk about what's going on in your love life, why you don't have what you want. Find out about the control patterns that are keeping you stuck. I'll tell you everything that I'm seeing. And we'll see if you're right for our Academy program. We'll figure out if we can actually help you make these shifts. And if so, then we'll talk all about it. You can ask me any questions that you have about it, and then you can decide whether you'd like to join us and get your dream relationship. So you can do that either by going to thedreamrelationship.com, or if you're like, oh yeah, maybe, but like, I'm not sure, maybe I got a couple questions first. The other thing that you can do is you can go onto my Facebook, Zach Rohde. There's only one of me. I guess is that on my YouTube? Yeah, I think it says Zach Rohde Coaching. So yeah, you just type that into Facebook if you're watching from YouTube, and you can send me a message. Send me a private message and ask me whatever questions you got. Anyone who signs up on a call with me, I want you to feel comfortable, kind of having an idea of what you're going into. I'm friendly. I'm going to help you. I'm just here to give you the care that you need to make these shifts, or to find out if making these shifts are right for you and working with us. So my directive is stop procrastinating, stop making excuses, stop waiting till next month or next year. What's the reason you're not doing it now? How much longer are you going to wait? Go to thedreamrelationship.com, book your call with me. I'll hop on a call and we'll talk about how to transform your love life. That's it. Anne, thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic. It was lovely to speak with you again. So great to hear about what you're now experiencing. It's so well deserved. And I'll see you in the Academy. You're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye now, and bye everybody.
Bye.